Well, howdy there, folks. I just got home right now, and when I go out there in the real world, let's call it that, and leave this internet world, I love to sometimes tell you guys what's going on and what I'm seeing out there. And I just witnessed some pretty unbelievable stuff, and I want to show you kind of photos and videos and something I wasn't expecting. And whenever I go out there in the real world, and I'm almost like a reporter kind of telling you what I see and what's going on out there, I try never to go into it with any agenda and just like give you whatever's going on. And when I went out there on Black Friday, when I was in Arizona at the Arizona house, right, it was insanely busy, and I was shocked. And I reported, like, I was very surprised. I thought people were out of money, and it was so busy out there. It was incredible, right? And here tonight, I'm going to report to you what I saw today at 5 p.m. while I was out there. And it was a very different scenario, okay? And now in Summerlin, Nevada, for these photos I'm about to share with you here in this video here today. So hope you guys enjoyed as always. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being subscribed, okay? So first up here, got out of the car, just kind of walking around. Lululemon's got a brand new massive store in Summerlin, right? And place was a ghost town, like just straight up like ghost town in terms of Lululemon. I was surprised, and this place is nice. Like they got all this fancy lighting above it and whatnot, and there was just like no one at Lululemon. And once again, this is 5 p.m., so it's not like this is like right before everybody's going to close or something like that. So it was kind of surprising. Here we are, obviously less than 2 weeks away from Christmas, and to just see that store ghost town, it's kind of like, I mean, if this was like a random 5 p.m. on a night in June or something like that, I'd be like, okay, it's a ghost town, like big deal. But not when you're within 2 weeks of Christmas. I looked at the Apple store. This Apple store is usually insanely busy whenever I've gone to it in the past, and I've had to buy many devices over the years at this Apple store. It was a ghost town. I was like, what? Like the only people in there for the most part were Apple employees. They're all the ones that are always wearing all red, essentially, and some security guards, because I guess the only people that go into Apple stores nowadays go in there to jack the Apple watches, which is pointless, by the way. If anybody ever thinks that's a good idea, from my understanding, if you try to jack the Apple watches at the Apple store, they have a device in them, essentially, that makes it so it's literally unusable. So I don't even know why people do that. I think they think they're like getting something of value, and they're actually getting nothing of value, essentially, which is quite interesting. But nonetheless, I mean, that was kind of surprising. And certainly you all know that I'm not the most bullish on Apple for their 2023 numbers, but to see it that dead less than 2 weeks before Christmas, I would call it surprising. Surprising to see it that level of dead, okay? This massive store called, I guess, Anthropology was just completely ghost town, completely dead. Now, you want to know a store that was actually busy? This store was actually busy, okay? Bath and Body Works. So we went into Bath and Body Works. That store was packed. Definitely, they've got plenty of customers in business. But think about this for a minute, right? A company like Bath and Body Works, like, they sell very inexpensive stuff relative, right, as far as gifts go, right? A lot of like $5, $10, $15 type items at Bath & Body Works. That's what that store is filled up with, right? Let's just call it under $20 items. So, if folks aren't doing as well, that's one of those stores that kind of is going to hold up decent in a Christmas time, right? Because at the end of the day, like, people are still going to give gifts, and somewhere like Bath and Body Works, like, everybody likes lotions and soaps and shampoos, and well, they don't really sell shampoos. I think they sell soaps there, right? They sell candles and all that stuff. And so people still go to Bath and Body Works, and it's very inexpensive, and it's one of those stores that actually holds up very well, even in this environment where maybe people don't have as much capital to go around. They had this big sale here today. There's a 1, 2, 3 sale, right? You get these different items for $1, $2, $3, and yeah, there's a lot of people buying these $1 or $2, $3 items. I saw a lot of people getting these little stocking stuffers and things like that. So yeah, they're doing okay for themselves, right? Went by this massive Express men's store. There was a ghost town. There was a worker in there, and then there was another worker kind of, playing with the racks, I guess you can say, over there. And that place was a ghost town. There was like literally nobody in there. And the thing that's a little worrisome about this is a lot of these retailers are loaded up on inventory. So these retailers, they need to be moving product, man. They can't be like ghost towns. These stores need to be busy. They need to be moving product. And yeah, not too much. And the other thing I noticed is a lot of these stores don't seem to be doing a lot of incentives in terms of sales. Maybe they already did, and maybe at this point they're just trying to hope that folks will buy at full price clothing or whatever. But I just thought that was interesting, that a lot of these retailers are loaded up on inventory, and it doesn't seem like they're very busy, and yet they're not really doing sales. So I don't know. That's just an interesting thing I found, okay? Then went over to Foot Locker. Now, Foot Locker was pretty busy, but to be fair, in Foot Locker is a stock I own. Foot Locker is pretty much always busy. So, if Foot Locker is a ghost town, then I would really be scared about what's going to happen in the economy, because Foot Locker is generally always pretty dang busy. And so that's good to see there. Went across the way to Champs, which is also owned by Foot Locker, if you didn't know. Champs was fairly busy, but once again, Champs, Foot Locker, those type of stores are almost always busy. So if they weren't, I would be really, really shocked by those sorts of stores, right? Saw this was interesting. So Ivan Scher, he opened up a new office for, he's basically the top realtor, broker, whatever you want to call him in Vegas, right? And if you're a high net worth individual, you deal with Ivan. It's just, there's not even like a question of like who's number two. You always go with Ivan if you're a high net worth individual. And I hadn't got to see the office yet. They invited me like a few weeks ago, our gal over there, and it was interesting. I looked inside. There was no one, not a person in the office anywhere, except this one guy back there. And who is that? Mr. Ivan himself, right back there. And it just, something like that. I was like, I got to take a picture of this, man. This is too good. And I was going to go say hi, but he was on the phone and whatnot. But I saw that, and it just brought me back to remembering, the folks that put in the most work always end up with the most success at the end of the day. And, even real estate's not in a good place right now. I think we all know that, right? It's going to be weak for at least a year, if not a few years. But at the end of the day, the ones that always succeed the most are the ones that put in those hours. And that's just the way life is, man. You outwork your competition, and you're going to get different results, right? And I don't think there's another realtor or broker probably in Vegas that could afford that setup that they've got. In that Summerlin Mall, I'm like, that is not cheap, man. That is not cheap for them to have that setup. You've got to be, doing pretty darn well for yourself, to just put it that way. And so just, I just want everybody to remember that as this year ticks on, to outwork all competition in whatever you're doing, because you got to understand, capitalism is a dog-eat-dog world. That's the bottom line, is a dog-eat-dog world. And if you're not working hard enough, especially in a recessionary environment, you'll be the one that's fired. You will be the one that's let go. You will be the one that loses clients. Whoever works the hardest will be the ones that end up prospering and moving on and those sorts of things. And whoever brings the best results to the table, right? And so right now, I feel like it's definitely not a time to chill back. When you look at all these tech companies that are doing these layoffs, right? Meta just, announced that layoff, a month or two ago. 13,000 employees. Amazon just announced a layoff of 10,000 plus employees. And you're going to see a lot more, and I mean a lot more layoffs in 2023. It's going to be on a way bigger scale than in 2022. Who are they letting go? They're always going to be letting go the weakest workers in their view. And so at the end of the day, the way you can keep your job and prosper and keep clients, whether you run your own business or you work for a company, is by outworking everybody else and bringing more results, and being able to, if you got a boss, make them look good because you bring those sorts of results. If you don't, you'll be let go. And that's just as simple as this. And, I think that's why everybody should be involved in sports as you come up as a kid, because you learn how to compete. You learn that you have to outwork competition. You don't go into the world as in this denial phase of everything's perfect and it's all flowers, and you start to learn about it's a dog-eat-dog world, right? And in sports, if you don't outwork your competition, guess what happens? You don't make the team. You aren't a starter. That's what happens if your competition outworks you and they're better than you, flat out. And you learn that as a kid if you do sports, right? And a lot of folks don't, unfortunately, and it doesn't even prep them for what the real world is. And they have this fantasy of what they think the real world should be, or what the real world is in their head. And that's not the real world. It's a dog-eat-dog world, man. And if Ivan's not out there outworking his competition, somebody on the come up is. And they're going to try to steal his client away that's going to buy the next $10 million house or sell the next $10 million house, right? And so I just thought that was just something that I was like, I got to take a picture of this and show folks, okay? So from there, we went over to Target, and I saw somebody buying stuff at the Elf section. So, shout out to them. Okay, I'm happy they were buying some stuff at the Elf section. Elf has this massive area now in these Target stores, and right on the big walkway and everything. It's they get the primo spot nowadays, and it's been amazing as an Elf shareholder all these years to see just see the brand grow and see how much respect they get from a company that back when I first invested in Elf. I mean, they maybe had 3 or 6 feet of retail in space in terms of a lot of Target stores, and now they got these massive sections, and the best spots, and they're like, put on the like a pedestal by Target and these sorts of companies. And so it's phenomenal to see that. It's amazing to see that. Honest is a company right now that has a very small section in kind of the cosmetics area, at these Target stores and whatnot. But I think there's a massive amount of growth, and these products are just very, very high margin products compared to anything else in Honest's category. And so, this is one of the things I'm most excited about with Honest's business, not just in 2023, but in future years. And just one of many reasons why I think Honest's margin is going to improve rapidly over the next few years. It hurts me to go by this section, but I got to take pictures still. Yeah. I'm glad everybody enjoys the product, and I'm glad it sells like crazy. It's a shame we probably can't ever make money on any of it, apparently. But I'm glad everybody enjoys it. I'm glad it sells well. We'll just leave it at that, okay? As far as look at how big the Honest section now is in the diaper area. Holy smokes, that ain't no jokers. It's a massive section. And, you got to think about the economy, right, and the state of the economy and where things are kind of headed here. And obviously, needs-based companies still are going to prosper. Companies like Honest, which at the end of the day, people still need to buy diapers and cosmetics, and companies like Elf, people still got to buy products, right? And if anything, Elf, people will trade down to an Elf because it's still a great product at low prices, right? And so companies like Elf, companies like Honest, those sorts of companies, they're needs-based. And so their businesses aren't going to take a hit at all. Actually, if anything, their businesses are actually going to do even better in 2023, regardless of what happens. Literally, it doesn't matter what happens in the economy. Honest is going to do better. Revenues, margins, profitability, everything. Elf's going to do better across the board. And it doesn't even matter for those companies. And so that's a few and far between, because most companies are going to see their numbers hit substantially in 2023. But then there's other companies that it doesn't matter. Weak economy, horrible economy, bad economy, doesn't matter. It literally doesn't even matter for some companies. And those are the sorts of companies that it will not matter for in the end, right? Definitely great to see all these different Honest products now, obviously in the Target stores, and just very nice sections building out. And I can only imagine where it will be in 5 years or so for now, right? End caps, look at this beautiful end cap here at the Target store. Just amazing to see that, okay? From there, we went out for Mexican food, and I just had to take a picture of this because this is like my favorite Mexican restaurant, okay? And I was like, holy smokes, man, the California burrito is up to $17.29 now at this point in time. That was just like, that was mind-blowing to me, because I was like, I remember paying I swear it wasn't that many years ago that I used to pay like $12 for that California burrito, and now it's $17.29. Holy smokes, man. And it just makes me think geez, it's going to get harder and harder for folks to go out to eat with these prices of food and how much they've risen. I'm like, we're talking about almost 20. This is a middle class Mexican food restaurant. This isn't some high end restaurant. And I'm like, geez, it's getting close to $20 for flipping flapjack and burrito. That's definitely one of those things that makes me say, what's going on here, right? And by the way, that burrito, that's a holy smokes, this ain't no jokers. I only ate maybe half the thing. The rest of it I had to take to go. That thing was so dang big. It was ridiculous, okay? But, nonetheless, why is all this going on? You look at this. I pulled up the United States personal savings rate for you guys here, okay? This is over the past year. Look at where we started. Look at where we were at this time last year. Well, at this point last year, December of 2021, we were at roughly 8.7% personal savings rates, right? And this is why a lot of folks went into 2022 not feeling that bad. I didn't feel that bad going into 2022. I thought it would be an okay year. And then the Fed started raising rates rapidly. Inflation went to ridiculous numbers, and everything got very bad very, very quickly, right? And since that, we went from 8.7%, a healthy savings rate, that's a healthy one, to things just started to deteriorate off a cliff. In October, we are at 2.3. What do you think we're at right now in December? 1.8, 1.7? I don't know. It's got to be awful, because now we're in the holiday shopping season, and the numbers have just been getting worse and worse and worse. Literally, right now we might be under 2% personal savings rates in the United States of America. If we look at a 5-year chart of this, it's the worst. It's the worst, okay? And like I said, today, as of right now, I guarantee you we're even lower than whatever we were at. If we look at a 10-year, it's never been worse in the past 10 years. If we look at the past 25 years, it's pretty much the worst it's ever been. And if we pull up max, it's pretty much the worst it's ever been. And I can almost guarantee you right now, as of December of 2022, we're likely at the lowest numbers ever. And January is going to be awful. And so this is why, in my opinion, when I go to this, malls are out there, I don't see I don't see a lot of these stores busy. There a lot of them are ghost towns, and then some of the people I do see aren't really buying much. They're more just, I don't know, window shopping or whatever. It's not like they're walking around with just holding all these bags and bags and bags. And I'm like, oh gosh. In Summerlin's let's call it upper middle class to even a wealthy area, and so I do have more concerns about areas that aren't like that, right? So anyways, guys, just want to report the news and show you kind of what I saw out there today. Appreciate you. Much love as always, and have a great day. Thanks for being subscribed.